Well, in this country, Nigeria, you know, when I look through the educational policy of this nation, and so far working as a teacher in the school, I've been in the school system. I know what's going on in the private sector of the Nigerian school system. I know what's going on in the public sector of the Nigerian school system. So what I would say is, I wouldn't say our system of education in Nigeria is a total failure. I don't think I agree with some people who feel that the educational system of Nigeria has failed. I think it's a work in progress. Now, sometimes in the past, it could have, it was failing. Things were really going down. The standard was going down. The government wasn't really doing much. But here come along the private sector. I can say that the people really raising the standard of education in this country is the private sector. You have so many private schools who are passion-driven, intellectual-driven. They are world-class. They provide world-class education, and the standard is being raised. And I can say this as also a teacher trainer and someone who has attended several seminars in education, and someone who also works in an international school here. Now, we do a lot. We do quite a lot to raise the standard of education in the private sector. But when you look at the public sector, I don't think it's the same. I think the government still has quite a lot to do to improve the standard of education and, you know, do a lot. So I'll say in the private sector, education is progressing. Things are changing. There are innovations. A lot of great things are happening. Schools are learning from their counterparts abroad. You have, you know, a lot of schools right now in Nigeria are adopting the British curriculum, the American curriculum. We're trying to see a lot that they can add to the Nigerian system to make it standard, to make it better, to make it productive. Okay, but all these seem to be happening in the private sector. But when you look at the public sector, not very much is going on. The government is not so much serious as to improving the standard and the quality at the public sector or in the government schools. So in all, I'll say it's not totally a failure, but it's still growing. I think it's growing. It's much more better than the way it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when we were in the secondary school, where the system, the standard was so poor. So that's what I think, that it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress based on my own experience and the exposure that I have had so far.
Okay, thank you so much for pointing it. Although for now, but while we were in secondary school, I think it was not so poor, because you said it was poor. I don't think it was so poor from our end, but I love the fact that you did not flatly say it was a failure, but it is still progressing. Thank you so much for that. Now, given the opportunities, what would you recommend to be enacted in the country's educational system? What do you think should be, which area do you think is going to work on?
First of all, if you look at the Nigerian curriculum, you see that the curriculum is so rich, very comprehensive, okay? But the problem is the implementation of the Nigerian curriculum and educational system and policies. Even if you look at the educational system and policy, it's so balanced, it's so objective and rich. The objective, the goals of education in Nigeria are spelled out in the policy, you know, in the document. You know, they are very good. But when you come down to the implementation or the practical aspect of the way things are actually done, you don't see these things being implemented. So first of all, what I'll do, I think a lot of investment needs to be made in the training of teachers. Our teachers in Nigeria really need to be trained. The government needs to do a lot. So if I have the opportunity to make a change, I will invest heavily in the training and upgrade of teachers in Nigeria, because the teachers are the one who make the educational system. If the teachers are well oriented, they have the right mindset, they have the right techniques, the right strategies, they have the right tools and equipment to do their job, and they are well motivated to do their job, I think the standard of education will really improve in this nation. And another area that I would definitely do a lot to improve in this nation is funding for education. The funding for education in Nigeria is so poor. If you check the national budget over the years, education has consistently received the lowest percentage in terms of budgeting. And it's quite funny because this is not in line with the educational policy of Nigeria. The country has a sound policy, but the country is not doing so much to ensure that the policy is implemented or is carried out because of poor funding. If you go to several schools, several government schools, be it the university or in the secondary or private school, the infrastructure is so bad. Dilapidated infrastructure, lack of classrooms, the teachers are not well paid or well motivated, there are no equipment, there are no facilities. Things are just going down because the government has not been investing heavily to raise the standard of education, to pay teachers well, and to motivate teachers. So I am going to do a lot on this. I'm going to invest in training of teachers. We are going to improve the welfare package of teachers and make the teaching profession more attractive, more lucrative, and more productive. Okay? And then in the area of the curriculum implementation, now, we have understood that from experience, working with the Nigerian curriculum, that it's always been knowledge-based. The Nigerian curriculum is knowledge-based, or at the point of its implementation, not much is done to take the level of education beyond just the learners acquiring knowledge. So I'm going to, improve on that, introduce a lot of critical thinking activities that engage learners, that makes Nigerian learners, Nigerian children more creative, more innovative, more productive, balanced, not just people who just acquire knowledge, but they acquire knowledge and they can productively use the knowledge that they have acquired. So I'm going to do a lot in this regard.